Good morning everyone, this is Tina from the Color House, and I was doing a little bit of studio stuff today and I thought you might want a behind the scenes of what kind of happens that you don't normally see when you're here in the studio. It's a Saturday morning, and so I have a couple days, the next couple days I'm going to be closed. So usually on Saturdays I'll do what's called Reconstitute my clay. So all those scrap pieces that we save that dry out, today is the day that I usually will try to reconstitute it. I mix the dry with the wet and let it sit for a couple of days, and then come Tuesday or Wednesday when I'm back in here, I will wedge it up and get it ready to be used again in different ways. So let me show you how it's done. If you've taken a wheel course here at the Color House, you know that we have this dry bucket in the corner. All your scraps go in that dry bucket. This is the bigger dry bucket. So once I have the smaller one filled up, I take out the big chunks of it because that needs to be broken down into smaller pieces. And then I take whatever's left and pour it into the bigger bucket. It's really important to remember to wear a dust blocking mask when you do this because clay dust is extremely dangerous for your health and your lungs. At this point, I take those bigger pieces and I take my hammer and just pound away at it to chop them up into smaller pieces. If I don't do this, then when I add the liquid, it will never reach the inside of that big dry piece. And so that portion of the clay will never get wet and it will never be able to be blended into the rest of it. Here at the Color House, we have a bucket system to make sure no clay gets down the pipes. If any pipes get clogged with this clay, you have to hire a plumber, and it's really a pain. So we make sure that doesn't happen by setting up this bucket system. We have a dump bucket where people dump their used water that's full of clay, and then we have the wash bucket where you wash your stuff off, and then a final rinse to make sure there's no residual clay on your tools and your bowls and all of that. The water then separates from the clay. The clay settles to the bottom, water goes to the top. We take off the water portion, dump it into one of the other buckets, and we collect that clay water, which is right here, the clay portion of that water. And this is what we're going to use to reconstitute our dry clay. As I pour it over it, you can hear bubbling, and it will start to suck it in. Those dry pieces are sucking in that water, and it's going to start to make it clay again. Once it's all covered in liquid, you're going to mix it. You're going to actually mix it with your hands to make sure no portions are dry, and add water as needed. And then after a few days, you'll get chunks on your board. I put it out on a board to dry a little better, and this is just those chunks put together. You'll see there's soft pieces and very hard pieces because the clay can't exactly dry evenly. So that's where wedging comes in. We're going to wedge this piece of clay to make sure that the consistency is all uniform. So I just put all the pieces together, all the chunks, and you just start kneading it like dough almost. And this is going to start to make your consistency the same. Wedging takes a while, so we sped this up. Give yourself several minutes to make sure it blends. And at the end, you should have a block that's all the same. And it should be easy to move so you're ready to use it on the wheel again. So that's it for today's behind the scenes look at what we do in the Color House with our clay that is wasted, the clay that doesn't get used when we're throwing pots. We save it, we have a dry portion and we have the wet portion, and then we combine them at some point and it makes new clay. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed this and have a great day. Bye.